Hey guys, got another video coming at you. It's PoE video because I love PoE. I can give some of my thoughts on the overall state of the Metamorph League, how much I'm enjoying it, whether or not I'm enjoying it, I guess I should say. And yeah, some other general stuff. But first, I wanted to give a quick kind of overview of how I map. So I see a lot of questions in the daily questions thread and a lot of players talking about it. And it's actually something I struggled with for multiple leagues. I mean, years. I didn't know how to make money in PoE. How do people get the headhunter in a week and hit red maps and get mirrors and stuff and do these GG crafts? So that's something that I think comes with time and just playing the game and being more familiar with the mechanics and kind of being efficient, getting through things quickly. A lot of people will explain how to do stuff. Some of the guide videos that I've seen are um, edited and stuff. So you don't like really the minutia of like how did you transitioning from this to that, or how do you work this in. So what I did was recorded 30 about 35 minutes of my own gameplay on PoE, and it's just raw gameplay. And this is everything. This includes my add-ons. It includes my kids walking in to ask me a question, which I didn't record my mic or anything that was going on in my environment, but I was working at the time, and I had also my kids coming in, and I had uh, phone ringing, that kind of stuff. But this is kind of in general how I map. You may not even notice those little interruptions. Um, but I wanted to give a full body, like, this is how you really map. So I'll showcase my gear at the end. Yes, I am wearing a headhunter. Yes, I did farm it myself from scratch. I didn't get a lucky drop for that. Anyway, I bought 11 fiend cards and turned them in through currency that I farmed in the first week of the league. So, and this is this video is really going to show how I did it. I'll narrate some of it and then I'll let some of it play out, but I'll highlight some of the things that I do for efficiency and like how exactly I get through it quickly. So right here, I'm trying to complete the Awakener objectives. So I already pulled maps out of my map tab that need Awakener objectives. I already allocated them. I'm looking one that already has, there you go, that had the objective done. So I'm checking real quick. Okay, we're good. Want to run them all really fast at once. So this is an add-on Mercury trade. It pops up on my screen. It shows me the tab and it shows where in the tab the item is. So I just quickly trade. So I try not to spend too much time in town when I'm really wanting to farm. I just try and go on the maps. Don't stop in your hideout. Don't look, don't spend a bunch of time on sites or talking to friends or whatever. Just keep mapping, right? And try to be efficient. I quickly check my master missions. Okay, this is what I got. I throw a master mission at them here or there. Now this one's a beyond. I will always double beyond my beyond maps, regardless of, as long as they're red tier, because I do have a headhunter. Um, Even without a headhunter, I'd probably double beyond the maps, just because that's so much quantity. You get so many spawns. It can be really juicy, and it's not that expensive. Throw a few extra chaos in, you get a way more mobs. So I think I had what 6 or 8 maps or something. So I do pick up rings. I have a stash tab just for rings, unique rings. I put them all in that tab until I have 60, and then I go buy a lore wave. Um, that's not necessarily required. It's just something that I do. When I'm doing syndicates, this is all of these concepts will apply to builds without a headhunter, because I did not have a headhunter for the vast majority of the maps that I've done this league. So don't think that you can't do this stuff without a headhunter. You kill all the rares, right? Even when the betrayal people you've killed, let's say 6 rares, and the betrayal people move to your area, skip them, go finish killing the rares, and they'll port to you, and then you kill them. I quickly just jump through. I just +1. I generally go for the right option. I grab the veiled items and I just move on. Now, the thing I try to avoid is stopping for any reason in the middle of a map for the purposes of like inventory management, right? So if I'm getting unveiled items that I need to unveil, my goal is to unveil all of them at the exact same time, because it's more efficient. You could unveil them right there on the spot. Um, but like I said, I try to do inventory management one time at the end of the map in town, if at all possible. You also want to try to look for efficient routes through maps. I mean, this doesn't apply like universally to every map. Some maps I know, some maps I don't know. Some maps I don't care if I full clear. I'm just trying to get through the maps. So generally for me, I'm using an ice shot build. Ice shot to clear packs, and then I barrage to kill bosses, right? And so I am skipping most uniques. Early on in the league, you'll want to get unique items so that you can trade them for alks if you're low on alchemy orbs. I'm not. As you progress through the atlas and work your way up to red maps, the lower currencies you just stop picking up. You know, so raw alks I'll pick up, but unique items to sell for alks, not anymore. And these things kind of stutter step. I only run 14 to 16 maps at this stage of the league. So just try and clear as much as you can, as quick as you can, you know, get through the map. You want to fight the Metamorph at the end. I do love fighting the Metamorph. I'll generally try and pick options that give you mostly like currency and stuff for the Metamorph. So I think I'm almost through with this map. Yeah, and see, this is one of those, you wouldn't necessarily have to full clear it. I chose to, but, you know, that was probably sufficient at that point. Because it's a double beyond, I probably full cleared it, I think is why. Double beyond maps are satisfying gameplay-wise for me, regardless of anything else. I just like them. So I'm picking the map here. I prioritize maps and div cards. Look at the icons. So the icons that give rewards are different than that item slot for the Metamorph. So the lung icon is generic, but you know, gives currency. You can tell immediately it's not just a lung. And you can see I lag there. I have plenty of lag this league. It's actually the reason the video is a little lower quality, because the just recording even lagged me, plus the beyonds and stuff. So yeah, okay, so we're done with the map. This is the first time I look at my inventory. I'm gonna go do my unveils. I quickly, kind of at a glance, I will look for stats that are like really good, but if I see junk stats, then I can immediately say, okay, this item's no good, junk it. So there's my unveiling, and this is important to see. I'm using the scroll wheel on my mouse to scroll to my tabs. I remember where my tabs are placed because I've been playing with them that way. And see that? I caught an LE Reflect map. See? So I'm paying attention. I try to go fast, but I am still paying attention. So I also keep the maps on the right side of the stash tab, because the left side of the stash tab is where loot and items will automatically go. And I don't want new maps that drop going in that space, because then I won't know at a glance which ones were the maps I was going to run and which ones are maps that have just dropped for me. And so then this is another one of those like little things to create some efficiency, prevent, you know, confusing yourself, just to keep you kind of zip zooming. So here's something else that I'll do. I think I showcase it here, if not later in the video. Breaches are pretty much predetermined in terms of like how long they're going to be and how far they're going to go. So if you can clear ahead of the breach, start doing stuff outside of it while it's going on. The mobs aren't going anywhere, right? So here I am like, breach is going on, who cares? I kill 2 other essence monsters in the meantime. Then I just zip to the corners of the breach. I knock it out because I know it's constricted on the left, so I only need to do, you know, an arc of it. Start the monolith. Why not, right? Stack things up, you know, and to be more efficient in your mapping. Before, it's kind of like principle of it is, if you saw the way that the racers do things, where they're like moving on to the next area before the animations have finished or before the boss is completely dead. You know, do stuff like that, right? So try and combine events that happen in a map that are close together. You know, and I also, you know, part of what I do is try to maximize my headhunter buffs. So getting as much screen clear as you can while you're still beefy. Like I said, you don't need a headhunter to do this. These are just good principles for mapping. I pick up, you know, once you got into this point in the atlas, I only really pick up red maps. I only see red maps. So that's another thing. The strategy you're using should shift the further you go in your atlas. You know, another thing I can say that I really liked about this league, and I talk a little bit about how I feel about the league. is that map sustain is super easy compared to what it's been in the past. Now, right now, I am not trying to spawn conquerors, but if you are trying to spawn conquerors, you would pick a preset of like 6 maps in the same area to do that. So here's something else I'll do. I'm presetting my metamorph parts. I'm pre-portaling so that I can leave as soon as the map is completed, or if the metamorph rips me, I can instantly come right back to the spot. I know the boss has got a part, so I'm just waiting on the boss's part. There it is, and now I just add the boss's part. Make sure I didn't... I see. So I am paying attention. I'm going fast, but I also try to pay attention. It's like, wait a minute, I missed a currency drop there. So I switched the part. So you want to be quick, but you also want to be kind of attentive. And so there you go, another map done, right? And so then a lot of times I'll pre-spawn the map before go inventory manage. And this will save you a couple seconds here or there. Nothing I'm doing is like revolutionary, groundbreaking, or I'm not presuming that it's the greatest. Well, that's another thing you might have missed. I just got the veiled item out of my inventory, and I am going into a non-master mission map. So I didn't bother to actually clear my inventory between these two maps, because I didn't need to. Because most likely this map and the last map, their loot put together, will probably not completely fill my inventory. And another thing, there, explored part of the map while the breach was while the abyss was queued up. You get a long time for abysses before they'll fizzle out, so I might run 3, 4, 5 screens away while I've already spawned an abyss just to see like which way is it going, and then maybe I go the other way to clear the whole map. And you can see here, just ripping the abyss mobs. I don't always get the abyss chest because you gotta like wait for it to spawn. I've got speed headhunter buffs, so I'm like, the abyss jewels are, I could have stopped back there for it, but it's I've started skipping a lot more stuff. The further I go into map progression, the more I just start skipping things, right? Because what I really try to accomplish with chaining maps like this is just maximum number of mobs killed per hour. And they don't have to be rare, they don't have to be magic, even white mobs, just killing as many mobs as you can per hour. Because raw exalt drops, high value div card drops, high value unique drops are more tied to this than really any other metric. Unless you start talking about quantity gear, which I'm not running any quantity gear. So for me, the most effective thing that I could do is just kill as many mobs in an hour as possible. So I found the arena, but I know this map. I know it's going to have this one side area. I try to end with the metamorph in the boss area if I can, so that I only make one exit portal per map, which is in the boss area, and then I can pre-summon, and you can see I checked the boots real quick for the art. I think those were gnomics, because I recognize the unique art, and I would know if that had some value in this league. I might already be aware of it. So then we zip back to the boss. We're going to open the portal, pre-bake the metamorph, right? Might check the metamorph parts. I think I actually bugged him here and got a double metamorph spawn, which is a trip. So he's popping up at the new place, but I already had him at the old place. So that's kind of funny. I checked this jewel because I couldn't actually remember if it was worth anything. I didn't think that it was. And then, so that macro I'm using, that's called PoE trade macro. But if you move your mouse at all, the window goes away, right? So I didn't see the price in time, so I have to check it again. But it's little things like that, while you're waiting on the metamorph to spawn. And here's another whisper for an item that I'm selling. I don't know what item it is. Doesn't matter. I pre-listed it. I set the price. And they're telling me I didn't even click the boss chest. Okay, so I found out the jewel is worth 1 whole chaos. So you can see here, the mod actually highlighted the spot in the inventory where the item was. So I'm not doing a lot of reading or checking on price or anything. I'm just going in, grabbing the item, and selling it as long as they put the correct quantity of currency in. And so once again, putting away maps. I ID my rings sometimes out of OCD. So I just, watching it, it's actually, It's weird to me because watching me do it is a lot faster than it feels like when I'm playing the game that I'm doing. I'm having a hard time keeping up with video, which is interesting. But yeah, so once again, just dump my inventory and let's move on to the next map. And I check master missions again. Oh yeah, I was actually cell-fight capped. Not a huge deal. But I try not to let the missions accumulate to the point where they're like overwhelming. And so once again in another map. And you know, so just to clarify, I don't always map like this. But if I want to farm a headhunter early in a league, I do map like this. I mean, you gotta go because so the thing there's guaranteed value from mapping with a lot of speed at the high value maps, at the T15s and 16s. Number one, with the current Atlas setup, you're guaranteed at some point to get a Shaper or an Elder map drop. And those have innate value just for the fragments that you know you're going to get. And you can sell those fragments instead of running the bosses to actually get a quick chunk of change. And so I think later on I actually do get a map, a special map. But because of my Awakener level of my Atlas, I am, at some point I'm going to get those maps. And that's good money. I think any Shaper map, Shaper Guardian map is going to be like 50 Chaos, right? An Elder Guardian map is going to give you 20-25 Chaos. But more importantly, the Elder Guardian maps have a chance to drop an Elder Guardian unique. There is a neck that's always really valuable. The name escapes me right now. But these high value items are essentially, the more that you play, the more it is an inevitability that you get high value drops, like a Halcyon from Tool, for example, or an Impresence, or a Solstice Vigil, or a Starforge. Like, individually, each extremely high value item in the game, anything over an Exalt, you know, Watcher's Eye, Combs, Chest, whatever you're talking about, a Doctor card, a Nurse card, you know, the Atziri's Reflection Mirror Prophecy card. I got 2 of those from stacked decks this league, by the way. And while you would say that is lucky drop, I think that high value drops become a statistical certainty after a certain amount of time has been committed to the game, right? And if you're using that time this efficiently, where you can run, you know, 12, 15 maps in an hour, you're almost guaranteed to get good drops like that at some point. If you go for, you know, 5 hours in a session like this, you're going to get something. Also, I try to check the organs if they have crappy drops from the Metamorphs. I won't even loot the organ. Because that's another thing that creates an inventory clutter, and you can see my Metamorph tab is garbage. And so I ID'd the jewel. I didn't know its value. Boom, PoE trade macro. Okay, it's junk. I can drop it, right? And so that's something that I do, is I constantly am going through items that I can't remember or I'm not familiar with, check the price on the spot, and this applies to you know, influenced bases as well. But otherwise, you know, the vast majority of the time, just keep mapping, because people who say I've never seen an Exalt, yada yada yada. You probably just need to do more maps in a shorter period of time. You know, the faster you get at going through the maps, the more maps you can do in an hour. Maps are infinite sustain when your Atlas is maxed. Even if you're not getting the ones that you want. You know, some of these things like trading to run the same map over and over again, these things take you out of killing monsters. And the more monsters you kill per hour, the more natural currency drops you're going to get. Right? You definitely can do other things. I do like to try to craft high value items, and I do like to trade with other players, but for the most part, vast majority of the money I make, just map. I have seen a lot of high value drops this league. I got 1 Awakener support gem from like, I don't know, 40 Awakener Guardian kills, or Conqueror kills, excuse me. But out of those 40 kills, that it was inevitable at some point that I was going to get an Awakened support gem. That one that I got was minion damage, 7 exalts, you know, so it varies, but at some point you're going to get something that's worth money, and if you just spam maps over and over and over again, you're going to get multiple drops like that. So once again, these are the Oscrum. I actually used these earlier in the league. I couldn't remember if they were worth anything, so I'm checking. There you go. You can see some boss lag. I'm not immune to lag. The recording doesn't help. So now I'm waiting for the trade macro to show me the price. It's lagging. There you go, 2C. And I remembered, oh yeah, you can get a double, what you call it, curse. You can get a double curse on hit glove, which would be, a lot more valuable. So meta gloves, I will throw a Vol Orb on because they have some of the best implicits in the game. And you can see I almost died there. Am I getting... Oh, Fizz Reflect. Yeah, so my Barrage does just a tiny bit of physical damage, and it's just enough to rip me super hard. Which you can hear the reflect noise when I'm doing it. So, yeah, I even double-check myself when I'm spawning the Metamorph. So, yeah, Barrage is ripping me. I shouldn't run Fizz Reflect maps either, honestly. It's not terrible, as long as I keep getting flash charges, I'm usually okay. There you go, the lung is garbage. I wouldn't want to spawn the Metamorph that it's used for anyway. I got nothing to sell, so just boom, right onto the next map. And you can dump your currency. Sometimes maps take longer to spawn. So sometimes I will just clear my inventory, or it varies. You do want to make sure that you have enough space that you're not having you want to, as little as possible, stop mapping in the middle of a map to like go back to your hideout. But yeah, in general, in principle, I mean, in PoE, you should have one big AoE clear skill, which for me is Ice Shot, and then one melt boss skill, which is Barrage. So my thoughts on the league so far, on the Metamorph League. I'm a pretty big fan. I don't think anybody farms a headhunter if they don't enjoy the league. I really love the changes. I think the Cirrus fight is hot garbage overall. I would like to see a lot of changes, but everything else that they've done to the game is awesome. And you can see there I dipped away from Alva because she takes time to spawn loot, and I'm coming back this way anyhow. Right, so little efficiencies. It's like anything else that you do, add little bitty efficiencies, and over a long period of time, I save 5 seconds on this map, I save 2 seconds here, 3 seconds there. Eventually, it's like, oh well, I saved 30 seconds a map. And all of a sudden, put that across 100 maps. Now I've saved an hour, right? And I don't really min-max the masters where I'm like, I gotta get the perfect betrayal board. I gotta get the perfect temple. I try to go through and do Katarina, and I do go through and do my incursions and my temples. But I'm not like trying to create optimal paths, or there are a few rooms that I prioritize, and that's it. Atlas of Worlds, the Legion room. Alright, sorry I had to pause. Child walked into the room. I don't know what we missed. Okay, so I was talking about the League. I really like the Metamorphs. The Metamorphs are a really cool and unique kind of take on the gameplay. Build your own boss thing. The rewards are deterministic, which is great. I think it's also, I don't know, Metamorph is like the coolest kind of league. I wish there was more of an in-game component. There may be, based on how Synthesis kind of was, where they had a leak of all the possible modifiers in a database form and people could just sift through them and see. There may be combinations of Metamorph parts that do something special. If it's specific bosses from specific maps. Somebody already tried all of the Shaper Guardians together, which was something I thought about doing. So there may be portals that you can summon to a GG boss for Metamorph in the lab or something. Or maybe they thought about doing that but didn't include it. Yeah, so there's even more room to grow the Metamorph in-game, which is cool. I'd like to see it go core, actually. But yeah, as far as Conquerors of the Atlas, I think the Atlas changes are very necessary. Starting to feel dated. I love that I can go in and run like all the maps at all the different tiers and then be viable. Because I get, I get to see so many maps that I just would never see again. Because now they're tier 14, and I just was like run them at tier 1 to 5 or whatever, and I would just never see them again in the whole league. So that's kind of cool. I like the Conqueror rewards. I like the new orbs. The Exalted orbs are really cool. They work in an awesome way. Yeah, I mean, it feels fresh. The end game feels very fresh. I would say this is as big or bigger than the War for the Atlas, honestly. Here's another thing you could do. In the middle of the Cassia, I'd pick my temple room. Because when you pick your Alva temple room, click enter temple, there is a 2 to 3 second delay before she actually summons the portal. And normally you, the player, would be standing there like an idiot waiting for her to summon the portal. So if there's a case where you can have another event already going, which in this case I have a Blight going, and I'm waiting for her to summon the portal at the same time, it's now more efficient. So, tiny little low effort crap like that increases efficiency. Clicking multiple reward nodes while you wait on the first reward to spawn, that kind of stuff. I mean, this is basics, honestly, and fundamentals. Even little things like I could have gone right to pick up the currency, but I'm going that way after the incursion anyway. But this is stuff that I didn't do. I didn't do as recently as the previous league. I didn't do as recently as a Legion. A lot of the things that I have, like micro efficiencies, I'm still learning. I'm sure that anybody who's like GG at mapping can look at this video and say, oh, well, you could be doing this, you could be doing that. I'm certain of it. I am not speaking as like the authority on mapping efficiently. I would say that I have at least some expertise, as evidenced by the amount of gear and currency that I have acquired in the league to date. Now, yeah, that's another thing. Letting a breach run while you spawn the Metamorph, let the Metamorph run around while I'm still doing the breach. This helps me more than it would help your average person, because when rares spawn, I get buffer. So for a lot of people, if you're not geared up, it's probably going to be more difficult because the Metamorph's hitting you while breach mobs are hitting you. So, but yeah, that's I think I just really developed a taste for farming lots and lots of currency, and getting like good game items is fun. So, and then once again, brain sucks. Couldn't find my portal. And then here I'm on my last map. I think I was looking at master missions there. So that's another thing you do. Dump your map into the device and then pick your master. There is a bug where if you pick your master and you put the map in their container or whatever, it won't see that you have chaos orbs and you can't put a mod on it. So be on the lookout for that. That belt was almost valuable, but not quite. The gem, I picked up the gem because for most of the league, I do the gem quality recipe where I sell quality gems to get GCPs. However, once you get to a certain point, recipes from the vendor become inefficient. I don't really need GCPs. I have a bunch of them, and all my gems are already max leveled, so that's less time killing monsters and more time interacting in town. And so where I'm at this stage is I want to interact in town as little as humanly possible. That includes with other players, which is why I've got something like Mercury Trade, where I can see, oh, boom, the thing I'm selling is in this tab. It highlighted it for me. I get it out, and I go. I also want to mention, and I do get I got an Elder Guardian map here. So I think I added that in at the end of the video. I wasn't intending to do that one more map. I will add here that I do the little junk that, if you need a break from mapping, Breach Stones. I do Breach Lords. I do the low-level Breach Lords because all of the Breach Lords have a drop that is extremely valuable. right? So you've got Zoph's Blood. I've had a Zoph's Blood drop this league. You've got the Halcyon from Tool. I've had a Halcyon drop this league. Okay, why would I bother filming this when the kids are awake? Oh my god, multitasking. Anyway, so here we go. Let's resume. Sorry. Yeah, so I run stuff. I run the 4 timeless, so I unlock my 5-slot map device quickly. I run breachstones because even the junk breachstones, like, you can sell them for money, but like you're not getting, you know, a bajillion dollars. You know, you get like 20 chaos or whatever, but they have drops that are worth multiple exalts, so it's easy enough to just, oh, quick break from mapping, linear. Very few things are going to drop. Not a lot of inventory management, but I could get a GG drop at the end. And I did just die there, and you'll note that my portal was relatively close to the Metamorph. And if you saw me cut on, so I have 4 auras going, and you may have noticed that it just with like one button, boom, instantly cut them all on. All of my auras are on my second bar, and I hold a hotkey and press 4 buttons at once, and that cuts on all my auras. And so I'm looking. I didn't cut on temp chains. No, there it goes. Okay. So that's another thing, you know, your keybinds can help you if you have to like manually switch around hotkeys and stuff. Go ahead and set up that alternate bar. I have it set so that mine doesn't even show when I hold the button. I have a different button for showing the bar and configuring it than I do for actually using the skills. Yeah, but I got that bonus map, so I go run the bonus map. I always run the Elder and Shaped maps, always. You always want to kill their Guardians. Not only can they drop good stuff, and you get, you know, it's a free map, but you can also get the fragments for running Shaper and Elder. Now, I personally run Shaper and Elder, and I do not run Uber Elder. Uber Elder is too much of a gamble. The variance on it is too high, whereas Elder and Shaper are almost guaranteed to be good money because you turn in a 4 set of fragments, which is maybe like 200 chaos or something, but you're guaranteed to get an Uber Elder fragment, and that Uber Elder fragment is going to be worth like, you know, I don't know, 1.5, 1.7 exalts or something. And this is another thing that I do as it's efficient for me. When I am going to fight an Elder Guardian or Shaper Guardian, I kill the Metamorph first, because I will get buffs from all the rares that it spawns, and then that can make the first phase or the whole boss fight easier for me, depending on which boss it is. And I think I actually die on the Elder. I die on the boss anyway, but c'est la vie. So yeah, you can see I got 13 headhunter buffs. Ignites are a problem for my build. I had plenty of time to like escape and log out, but I just thought, I'll take the EXP hit, why not? I probably stood in something, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, this is a general overview of how I map. I'm not arguing that it's the most efficient, but I think it's, oh yeah, I stood in this shit. Now you can see I'm looking at the Ignite like, ugh. You know, it's, I think it's efficient enough to farm enough currency in a, you know, to farm a mirror in like a week and a half. There are people who get things quicker. There are people who just do high-end crafting or just delve. You know, there are a lot of ways to do it. This is my particular way. I hope that this video was useful for you, that if you watched it all the way through, you picked up some tips along the way, and maybe it helped your in-game. And this is somewhere I'll probably direct people who ask, how the heck do I make money? And so here's another example. That is, I know hidden potential is garbage, but I price checked it anyway. I didn't know that rings value. So I go over here to poe.ninja, I look up 2 stone rings, and I have got, boom, Elder, okay, I know the eye level, 83, it is 5 chaos. That's something I should mention. 5 chaos, I don't do anything less than 10 chaos. So everything worth less than 10 chaos, I just vendor. And that was me looking at the mods to see if it got any good mods that would justify the value. And so then I'll showcase my gear here so you guys can kind of see what I'm working with. And I junk all these other maps that I've gotten. And then boom, this is how you set up for the next one. So here I've already prepped maps for the next run. I'm going to run all of these. I'm chasing that Awakener bonus. And you can see my Awakener bonus. Checking them real quick. Have I completed them? No. Okay. And there you go. I'm at 105 out of 154. So I'm going to knock that out, by the end of the day. I'll probably get them all done. So I have a Death's Opus. I've got a Taming. Lots of damage and resist. I just I just volled a bunch of Tomb Fists until I got one that had something on it. Here's Ire. It's pretty standard stuff. I use Solstice Vigil for the Headhunter buffs. I didn't change my tree around for the Headhunter at all. I'm making new boots now with Tailwind. Pretty standard flasks. You got your Bleed, Curse, and Freeze, and then Damage flasks. So let me know in the comments, or hit me up on Reddit or Discord. Here's my belt before Headhunter. I'm gonna throw this out there. That's right, I showed these. Pandemonious was the neck, and then I had a rare belt. So those will work just fine for this particular build. If you want to try it, I have a link to the POB in the description. I'm gonna try and stream some more of this league. So if you want to stop by my Twitch page and see me stream and ask questions, you can do that as well. Anyway, this was a long one. I hope you made it all the way through, and maybe it helped you. So Merry Christmas, guys. Happy hunting. Make lots of exalts.